I'm Kara, and welcome to Soul Inspiring Business. I believe that all of us possess unique gifts and talents that allow us to serve the world and our own growth in the highest possible way. Our lives are an expression of our thoughts, beliefs, and actions. And here, we will explore businesses, thought leaders, and topics designed to inspire, helping propel your own growth so you can live your best and most purposeful life. Welcome to Soul Inspiring Business. In today's episode, I interview Lana Rodriguez, owner of LRG, the Lana Rodriguez Group, a real estate team serving the Colorado Springs area. Lana is one of those people that you meet and she just makes you smile on the inside out because she brings such warmth and love to all she does. Now, she has a really beautiful story because she grew her business exponentially by figuring out her superpower, her gifts, and aligning her business to that. And in this episode, you'll hear her story, how she figured out her biggest superpowers, and how you can too, along with ideas for creating and expanding business and opportunity by leading with love, service, and the gifts that God gave you. And it all starts now. Welcome to the Soul Inspiring Business Podcast. I am joined today by my friend, Lana Rodriguez. I am so happy to have you here. Lana is a powerhouse realtor, runs an awesome team in the Colorado Springs area. And Lana, just so glad you're here. We've been talking about this for a while.
I'm so happy to be here. Fully honored, Kara. Have been inspiring watching you grow this amazing podcast and interviewing our fellow friends, some new friends, and of course, just learning from other industry leaders. And I'm happy to be here. I'm located in Colorado and I'm sitting and there's just finally started to snow. So let's hope we don't get snowed in by the end of this podcast.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. So I wish that we're, of course, in the DC, Annapolis area. We don't get blessed with snow like that every day, but that's awesome.
It's all good. You don't have to drive in a snow day and then other people are reckless.
Well, that's true. Well, I know we were just together actually just earlier this fall. We had a soul business retreat that we were together for, and we talked about getting together and doing this podcast. And one of the things that I love about you and have loved watching you grow, because I think of you, the words that come to mind are love, connection, community. You are a very nurturing spirit and soul. And also you are an incredible entrepreneur that's been has grown a very successful business in a relatively short time. And I think some of that has been because you've found your superpowers, your soul superpowers, and then have leaned into those. So let's talk about that actually, because for any entrepreneurs that are listening that are thinking, gosh, I want to grow, but why am I not? I'm following all the strategies. Like, how did you find your superpowers and your gifts? And how were you courageous enough to really lean into those?
Well, thank you for such a warm intro. I may have to record it and listen it over and over again. As real estate sales professionals, we don't hear the praise often, and we're just kind of like, am I doing a good job? How does the public perceive me? But talking about superpowers. So I think everybody has superpowers. In the real world, it's also called your selling style. Okay. So I was blessed to be in the sales industry way before real estate. And actually, my husband was the one who decided that I can be a great realtor. I didn't have faith in myself. Neither I saw myself as a real estate professional. But I have been in sales pretty much since I was 14, back in Eastern Europe, then had a retail career. And when we moved here in 2014, he actually gave me the ultimatum. Either you going to go back to work and we can start having a family, or, we're not going to have a family. And I'm sure you heard that story before from me. And when I got my real estate license, I was part of the RE/MAX for 5 years. And if you're watching, if you're a RE/MAX agent, kudos to RE/MAX, because that company has been fantastic for building my brand new to Colorado. And I'm sure when you were first year in your business and when I was first year in my business, it was very intimidating. It was very intimidating. And Remax is, they have a lot of classic training. So like you have to door knock, you have to cold call, and do all these things, which I did. If there is a way to generate business, my first year of business, I tried it all because I didn't know any better. And I was so naive, thinking like, oh my God, Remax hired me as a realtor. I cannot fail. I have to listen to everything they say. And there are just some things that I felt so miserable. Like I never going to forget the first time I was hosting my open house and I went door knocking the neighborhood. People were so rude. They like almost slammed the door in my face. I was like, if that's how real estate is, it may not be for me. So the first year was a lot of trial and error. And then I just started discovering, well, what are some of the things I'm good at? Okay. Because all of us, brand new realtor, seasoned realtor, doesn't matter. We have some things we're good at. What my thing, it's actually face to face. Face to face, and primarily is because English is my third language. It's hard for me to communicate sometimes or communicate effectively. So I was like, if I can maybe have more to face interactions where I can build a rapport, establish customer needs, and I'm more in my groove, I think that's where the success is going to come. Also, full disclosure, very early on, I was introduced to Brian Buffini Systems, and he's the guy with calls, notes, and pub buys. And once again, early on, I discovered that calls, it's not going to be my way, only because I shared with you something before this call, before our going live, is that I have a high functioning anxiety. So before any important task, even getting on with you today, I had to like say prayers, like, God, please help me, higher power. At the same time, every time I have to pick up the phone, I'm the same way. And my superpowers like get deemed because my accent comes out, I don't sound more effectively. And Brian Buffini Systems part of was writing notes. You better believe I had my fair share of handwritten notes sent out to the people I kind of knew. And as I was building my sphere, did my share of pop buys for many, many years. And I was like, this is becoming easier and easier, just to discovering, And then I tapped into the idea of client events, and that was the biggest aha probably in my career. Because what if I can bring people dear to me, either as past clients, sphere, or just maybe some influential people within Colorado Springs, and if they come to me and I can provide them quality time, show them my love and care, that's when the business started to really grow.
I love that. Um, and I think also because a lot of our listeners are in the real estate industry, but I think this applies to really any industry, right? Is figuring out like what are your gifts? What are the things that God gave you that make you special? And how can you integrate that into, how you sell, how you interact with other people? So I think that's just super powerful for you to share. And so, how did you, when you first started doing those events, like how did that unfold, and what did you find as kind of the best ways to get out the word, or the best ways to build community for anybody thinking of doing something similar?
Well, I think the limited perception is, especially for somebody getting into the business, and I've had a lot of these conversations this year, specifically because there's still a lot of friends who are getting out of the business, which breaks my heart. But there's still a lot of friends who are getting into the business, and they're like, "Well, I don't have a sphere like you do." I was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, pause," because my sphere was created. What's it? Organically, because believe it or not, my first year in Colorado, I had very little clients. I served only 31 families, but the way I got those opportunities was like lots of trial and error and just lots of networking. And when I started hosting my first client events, it was maybe like 5 clients attending, and the rest of the people who I knew, and they were trustworthy enough to come out to something that Lana is hosting, this brand new realtor in Colorado. Because you just have to start thinking strategically. What can I be doing that my competition is not? And look, I have been talking about client events and all these little touches for years now. And I talk about it in my market and other markets. And there is only like a small percentage of the people who listen to this and actually implement. Because majority of our real estate professionals, they want the easy stuff. I was like, Zillow, if I can pay for Zillow, if I can maybe become a star on social media, but that's not bread and butter money. Yes, yes, yes. Maybe Zillow is a great model for some, and huge respect to the people who invest into that. Or maybe your skill is social media, but don't forget to build out the foundation that's actually going to connect you to your people in your database and your sphere. And then you can go become a social media star, as maybe Destiny has in for you. And for me, like, look, this is what happened. in 2015 was my second year of business. No, actually the first. That's when I had my first kid. And
Hmm.
it was like still pop buys and all kind of things. But when I was pregnant with my second child in 2018, I was like, I have to be more strategic. I no longer can afford to drive around for 3 days delivering goods to people's houses. And that's when we actually started stepping on the gas. And instead of like maybe quarterly event, we started doing event every other month. Um, and look, you know that saying when they say, when you build it, they will come. You just have to start creating these opportunities for people to tap into. Just like we also founded a personal client event group on Facebook. All right. Because I was like, I want to be communicating with my people effectively day in and day out. And yes, we have CRM. For some of you, like, well, do you have your stuff organized? Yes, we do. We try. We do our best. Uh, but I kind of know my client avatar, and it's a lot of people on social media, and not specifically on Instagram, because Instagram is like that shiny object platform. That's where you post pretty pictures and now reels and whatnot. But Facebook, I have felt that it was a platform to connect people on much deeper level. That's where people put their happy announcements, pregnancies and weddings and blah blah blah, and that's when they also put their sad announcements, like my dog died or one of my parents died, and no one's going to put that stuff on Instagram because it's not sexy.
Hmm.
um, and we have been using Facebook as a tool for many many years, and the private client Facebook group, and what I have named it my client community. Okay, and you guys, if you're listening, please steal it away. Whatever you're building out there, name it your client community too, because no one wants to be added part of your database or part of your CRM. And ultimately, when we have a new opportunity coming our way, when it's a referral, we say, hey, this is who we are, this is what we do, we're so honored to have you, how do you feel being added into our client community? And they're like, well, what's that? So, well, it's a small group of people living here locally, lots of resources. And we also host maybe quarterly or bi-monthly client appreciation events and programs. Does that sound okay? They're like, sure. Because remember, consumer always thinks, what's in it for me? And when you provide kind of like, well, this is what it for you. Yeah, it's always so. That's been one of the very helpful tools. I don't know if it answers your question. I kind of went of the of the grid.
No, I love that. Well, and I think actually, so there's a few things that I wrote down. Um, Number one, I think, and really important for people to get to is that what you said was, I mean, you moved to a new community, not really knowing anybody, right? And you have built out, I mean, this year alone, you've helped 150 families, which is incredible, right? To build, I mean, so, and you started with 31, did I hear you say that first year? 31 people that like you knew, right? So you don't have to have a huge following to get started in something like this. It's taking the people that already know you, that already like you, and pouring into them and building from there. So if you're thinking, I think, again, just big takeaway is don't think it has to be this 100 to 200 person event the first time. That's unrealistic. And actually, if you're setting yourself up with that thinking, you're going to be disappointed. Think of like, who can I bring together? How can I pour into them, pour love into them, showcase that I'm here to help for real estate and also bring people together, right? So, like, if you come in it with that intention, you're building community.
Yeah, and I think it's Ed Milet who released the book. It's called The Power of One. You just need that one opportunity. You just need that one connection that can actually prospect your real estate career or your year ahead to the completely new level. For me, let me just backtrack. So in 2014, remember I was brand new at Remax, brand new. I felt so lost, but I saw the Brian Buffini poster on the wall. And I was like, who's this guy? They're like, well, this is the guy who works by referral. I was like, okay, what does he do? What he's famous for? And somebody in my Remax office, they're like, he's famous for the pie party. I was like, pie party, whatever. And just like any other realtor, jumping the wagon without any proper planning, I went and I bought 85 pumpkin pies at Costco out of my own savings. I had a little savings account separate from my husband. He did not know. And he's like, what is all this? I was like,
Does he know now? I guess he does now.
they sent a statement to our house. He's like, what is this? I was like, don't worry about it. Um, but I bought these 85 pumpkin pies and I created a free event in one of the yard sale groups, like Colorado Springs housewife, yard sales, whatever. I was like, free pumpkin pie to your door. And Honestly, Brian did not approve. He's like, "You're absolutely crazy. I'm not going to support you." I was like, "Okay." My Remax office, there are people literally making fun of me. They're like, "You gonna do this?" I was like, "I will." I'm like, "What else? I have nothing else to do. I know no one. I feel intimidated as fuck." Excuse my language. I don't know if I'm lucky to us. But it's like it was a true state where I was in, and for 3.5 days I drove around and I delivered pies to people's doors. It was embarrassing. I was exhausted. Like my car would die, my phone would die, and out of those 85, I cannot make this stuff up because remember, proof is in the pudding. Out of 85 people, there was 5 people who became a very strong opportunities for the next year. Okay, and they became A clients. And for some of you who don't know, the A or A plus client, it means a client who refers you multiple businesses. I'm sorry, multiple business referrals or buys with you multiple times. And I would not have opportunities if I would not deliver these pies, right? And now, of course, as you grow and you do things, you have to be more strategic. You have to identify who will be your A people. And maybe for your A people, you do something more special. Maybe you do a private dinner or you give them one extra gift a year to acknowledge them. Also, what I did, Kara, in my first year in 2015, for a good 8 months before I started getting super pregnant, super big, I joined any meetup group within Colorado Springs, like hiking moms, knitting moms. Can you believe there's a group for moms who knit?
I actually can't believe you knit.
Girl, talking about being desperate to succeed. And I would go and I would introduce myself to these groups, and they're like, "Okay, well, come into the group." But sometimes I'm like, "I'm wasting my life here. What am I doing here?" But I try to connect to a host of the group or somebody very influential within the group because I knew if me and that person would be cool, down the line, she can possibly refer me for people who are looking to buy and sell.
Yeah.
And like if some of our audience, like if you are joining a new group like CrossFit or whatever, like identify who's going to be that alpha within the group. Because if you're going to build that rapport, they can connect you down the line. So it's just a small little
Mhm.
strategy that we're too often oversee, but it works.
Yeah. Well, and I think the other piece along with that is knowing how to have the conversation about business too. So there's people that join lots of groups, right? But then don't have success to it because they don't know how to leverage that. So can you speak to that a little bit? Like how do you leverage that relationship or,
Well,
what are the ways that you've helped expand that into business?
so number one, don't be a secret agent. Okay, don't be a secret agent. And I'm not asking you to go and harass everyone with your business cards and whatnot, but you have to once again figure out what's going to be your way. My way, introducing myself as a real estate professional, is a bit funny. I'd like to say if I would not have a career in real estate, I probably would be a stand-up comedian in my other life. So my way, if I'm meeting somebody or if I'm having a conversation, I was like, well, if you ever need a realtor, you know who to call. And they're like, ha ha ha. But I said it. I marketed myself in some way that I felt comfortable, that did not felt salesy. Because see, I'm a salesperson, but I hate to be sold. And
Hmm.
if you're gonna invite me for a cup of coffee to pitch me something, just don't. Just it's not how I'm gonna get attention to your business. So now there is a strategic way, and I was part of Buffini for first 4 years. Then I coached with Hyperfast, Carishful and Hyperfast, and now I'm back into Buffini systems. The reason why is because my methods and my ways of running referral based business faded off, and I just want to be personally stronger at it, especially in upcoming year. And my Buffini coach is saying this. She's like, don't be afraid to tell people who you are, what you do, and that you actually do work by referral. Because see, Kara, like myself and you and half of our industry, we assume that everybody knows we're in real estate. And we assume that they know how we generate business opportunities, but they don't. They don't.
Hmm.
So it's okay. Sometimes educate your clients. Now we started, for example, for every client event flyer that we're doing, we're adjusting our language and we say, in the honor of your referrals and opportunities throughout the years, this is our gratitude to you to come celebrate and take pictures with Santa or whatever. Just a little tweak in wording when they're reading this. It's just not like some free event from Lana where we can get a free pie. No, they're like, oh, Lana is doing that because we are supposed to refer her. And and like support her. So just little tweaks like that. And another good one that I saw that I started implementing in our newsletter: if you appreciate our level of service, we would love to support and serve somebody else. Just little
Mm.
friendly reminder like this. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
Love that. Yeah. No, I think that's really important because there's a lot of stuff that I think, you can build the relationships, but it's also what you do to leverage those relationships. And I believe that especially now in an environment where there's AI and there's actually so much content that's being created that's not human, right? That I think we're going to return more to the connection, the humanness being even more important as we move forward into next year and the year after. I even was just listening to a social media influencer who builds brands on social media. She was talking all about how now with Reels, her advice is to talk to the camera and give advice like right into the camera, be authentic. And it's the connection piece that actually is going to be what's trending as we move into 2024. I think, again, what you're saying is, and how you've really built your business is that way. It's how can I build community? How can I serve others? How can I build my own business for my family and grow it, but in a way where I'm being true to my superpower and I'm just loving and serving people because that's what I'm actually good at, right? And not being a secret agent. Like, how can I help? This is what I do. I'm a business, and so let me know how I can help you. Let me know how I can help people that because this is what I do on a daily basis, and I love to help.
Yeah.
Simple
And
as
Kara,
that.
may I just add a thought that crossed my mind? Back to the topic of superpower and identifying your selling style. Now, only because my selling style is, meet and greet you with open arms and kiss the babies and pet the dogs. This doesn't mean it's necessarily a selling style for somebody else. I'm going to give you an example from my husband, Brian. Me and him, we're both are like high DI personalities at disc profile, but he is like a little bit OCD, where I'm ADD, he's OCD, and the guy communicates in Excel sheets. Like there's lists and calendar invites and all these Excel sheets, and he's super organized. Where I'm like, please stop sending me these Excel sheets. I'm never going to look at it. But it
Right.
works for his client avatar because majority of his clients are the military personnel, and that's what they're used to, and they eat it up for breakfast. They love it so much. And like he establishes reports way before the transaction started, and it's easy for him, right? I'm going to give you another example. One of our preferred partners, lender Phil. I had a rule that I want my lending partners to come to every closing, and we did this with Phil for a little bit. And I was like, okay, he's not a in people person guy, because when he comes in person, he like gets sweaty and red, and like he's like super anxious. I was like, what's wrong with this? But don't twist him. He is a machine when it comes to talking on the phone. On the phone, he is so informative and so confident. So I was like, So Phil's way of communication is probably just over the phone, and we're keeping him there because that's his superpower. Does it make sense?
Yes. No. And thanks for mentioning that because I think that's so true. These are the tips that you're sharing are really good for your superpower. And but not everybody is built the same way. And so I think it's about building your business your way based on what you're naturally good at and how people naturally connect to you. I think is the key, right? And so um how do you help, because you've got 8 agents now on your team and 3 support staff, so how are you working with them to identify what their superpowers are so that they can, how are you coaching them to identify that if they may not know it themselves?
Yeah, well, I think that's a great question. So one thing that works for our team, that all of us are a little bit different. There's no one the same, and that's our superpower as a team, right? Everybody brings a piece of their own superpower into the organization, and that's why most of the time, not all the time, because we're not perfect, we run like a well-oiled machine. And it all starts, and this is just for team leaders and leaders. It all starts with just having a simple conversation. even before you bring them on board, because number one, alignment is super important. You can call it alignment, you can call it for them being part of your culture, because all of us have certain standards when it comes to bringing personnel and how we communicate and how we service our people. And you just have to make sure, like, are these people in alignment with you? Okay, because
Hmm.
I mean, true story, I have brought some people into the team and I'm like, I don't think they're going to be a fit, but let me give them a try because I don't want to say no. And ultimately it doesn't work out. All right, so that's where we have to be more intuitive and kind of like do a little more soul searching. That's why we slow down our processes of bringing somebody on. Like, it's not going to be a fast decision anymore. They're going to go through a few in-person interactions. They're going to meet the team. They're probably going to work or attend one of our client events because I want to see how they vibe. And after these tests, if they're a good fit, they're welcome on board. Uh, but pretty much just having one-on-one conversations with our people. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to make you do this because I don't think that's like, your superpower, and just encouraging them to be them, of course, within professional manners. Like, if somebody wants to do something crazy, I'm like, no, don't do that. But a lot of team members we have, I think they're soul aligned with me.
Hmm.
Like, there's a rumor in the industry that like a lot of us look the same. Like, they all look like Lana's and I look like them. And I'm like, well, I don't know. It's just worked out like that, you know? Uh,
Yeah.
but me as a team leader, like, for example, we have Brian, and Brian has a partner agent, James, and they are complete opposites. But it works so well because James will never do what Brian does. And actually, Brian is never going to do what James does. James is super analytical, super squared by the book guy, where Brian is still a second rainmaker on the team. So that works very well. Uh,
Hmm.
one of my lead buyers agents, Amy, she is so patient and kind. Oh, you met Amy, in
Oh,
September.
yes, I love Amy.
She's so patient and kind and loving that now I feel like she does such a much better job maybe serving a client than I would, because it's not like I'm not loving or patient, but my hands are full. So when I have an A++ referral who wants to like work with me, I was like, hey, I'm still gonna be part of the process, but we have Amy who's gonna take such excellent care of you.
Yeah.
We have Bailey, who's a military spouse of for many, many years, and her husband is special forces. So if we have a military client coming our way, I was like, Bailey is going to be amazing. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. And I think the other thing that's really key to that too is, and I think you may have heard this prayer because our coach often says it with us, but it's, dear God, please bring me the people that are in my divine alignment and lovingly remove the ones that aren't. And so that in that way, right, if that's your intention, then you're just naturally going to attract the people that you're meant to serve. And then the people that you're not meant to serve, you just, there's plenty of business out there and expansion opportunities for everyone. The universe, our world is full of opportunities. And so just because they're not right for me doesn't mean they're not right for somebody else, and vice versa. So it all comes
100%.
around when you're leaning into your gifts in that way, right? So another thing I'd love to ask is so right now we're recording this, it's the end of December 2023. We're talking about 2024 and already looking ahead into what business is going to be like into next year. So what are some of the goals and things that you're expanding into, is part one. And part two is, how did you go through that process of figuring out what did you want to create for the next year, 3 years, 5 years, whatever that is?
Yeah, yeah. Wow, that's a deep question. See, you should have sent it to me before. Just kidding. No, I'm going to do a combined answer. So within a year and a half ago, almost, we have joined Real Broker, and I came to Real from Keller Williams, and see, Keller Williams was like, the bigger the better. So full transparency, when I made a move, I had this goal to create this mega team, and I'm going to dominate the city and dominate the competition. And then within 1 year, like, number one, market shifted even more, and I was like, bigger is not better. And as you know, somebody very dear to us says better is better. Okay, it's better is better. Um, so within 1 year, my organization got smaller, but I have a chance to work with much better performers and A+ operators. And
Hmm.
did I had to adjust my ego and my pride? I did. All right. Am I maybe a little bit lower in ranking now when I had 15 agents versus now 8 or 7 agents? Yes, but at least my quality of days are better. I'm having less headaches and less conversations where there's so many fires I need to put out. So it came organically, and I'm very happy. The team is very, very solid right now, and the goal for next year, um, besides like being more organized and lose a couple pounds, is actually to go back into basics. And that's what I suggest for everybody on this call. If you're a top producer, good for you. I'm very happy. If you had an amazing year, if you're struggling, and if you're thinking of getting out of this business, go back to basics. Okay. And maybe for you, the basics would be just like for us. Okay. Because I'm not going to tell you to do something that we're not doing right now within our team, is to go back and to reorganize or your database, reorganize your relationship lists. All right. Audit people. Are your clients still your clients? Or within last year, they wandered somewhere off? And in our client community, we have 500 families living actively in town. And once a year, we sit down, we do full audit. And see, when you work by referral or when you track your shit, excuse my language, you take things personal. And when you see somebody list with somebody else or wander off different direction, you need
Hmm.
to go and ask, hey, what happened? What could I have done better to not lose this opportunity with you? And most of the time they'll tell you, and we also get like answers, well, like I used a guy from the church or my neighbor got licensed, and it's okay. But when you start doing that, you will be so much more in control of what's going on within your client world, right?
Hmm.
And just to be honest, Kara, I have probably within the last year, I have disconnected a lot from my client community because, I had a lot of speaking engagements, which is, I'm very blessed for that opportunity. I was able to go out there and promote my brand, my team's brand to other real estate professionals and give them some knowledge on how to work by referral. But see, like your clients are like, what are you doing for your clients? So we're going to be going deep instead of wide. Um, just adjusting our communication methods, having actually real conversations with our client community, because like we are so great on bombarding them with client events. I was like, here, Lana finished one client event, here's a save the date for another client event. And it's been working for us in a busy year, but now the year is different, the year shifted. So I think if anyone within the next 90 days will slow down and deep dive with a client community sphere and just have a conversations, go allocate some time, maybe at least a few hours a day, and go into people's social media platforms. If you feel like you have nothing to talk about, go see what's going on their stories or in their Facebook feed and just touch base on that. Hey, you guys just had a surgery. What's going on? How's everything? What can I do for you? They don't
Hmm.
expect to hear from you, but when they do, they're like, oh, wow, Kara's actually cares. She knows. I mean, clearly she knows because you looked at their voice, Facebook, but it's just little things, because you'll be surprised how many people are still in a holiday season, but they feel alone and not supported. Because if you assume that, oh, they're with family, with their friends, no, because during the holiday season, everybody are freaking busy. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's and I think that's a especially knowing you and knowing like thank you for being vulnerable to share, your journey because I think sometimes too like I see you or other people on social media, right? And you assume that everything is amazing, right? But to know that, you've got places in your business that can still need tweaking and that we're all evolving. None of us are perfect, even if we're speaking on big stages and have, lots of business coming in, that there's still are opportunities for growth and expansion and reflection and seeing what's working, what hasn't, and how can we just be better? How can we serve our communities in a deeper way? And you're right. I think sometimes, going back to basics and going back to, okay, my people, my community is how I've grown. So let me go back to them, right? And see what they need and ask them. And then they'll tell you. And then that can be a good way to, grow into the next year. So thank you
Yeah.
for sharing.
Of course. Thank you for asking. It was a good question. Got my wheels spinning.
Well, and last question I'll ask is um, what is do you have a meditation practice or a soul practice or some way of, I don't think I did share this with you, but I actually have a higher functioning anxiety as well. it's definitely way lower in terms of anxiety than it used to be. I used to be super high, very highly anxious. Um, so that's not the case as much anymore, but some of that is just for practices. So I'm curious what you do to center yourself.
Yeah, this is great. Hopefully, I don't cry. I don't know. You just asked me. I was like getting emotional. Hopefully, my
Oh.
fake lashes kind of hide it. Uh, yes. So, first of all, I truly believe that us salespeople or people who decide to tap into entrepreneurship, I'm not saying we're special humans, but I think we are aligned with a higher purpose. Because anyone who decides to give up 9 to 5 and go out there, test the waters, and hopefully build a great opportunities for their families and for people all around them. I think we're all a little bit gifted, spiritually gifted, because otherwise we would not make it. It would be really, really hard, which is already hard. And luckily, you and I are, we are blessed to have somebody very special in our lives, and it's Sharon and it's Jen Cudmore, and I think both of them are special humans. I think that they're out of that world. Maybe they've been aliens. I don't really.
Agreed.
Um, but what I personally do, I try to ground myself when I feel sad or my anxiety is up to the roof, and grounding can come in many different shapes and forms. Like before the Zoom, I simply took a little breather and just kind of got into the Zen. But one of my most favorite parts is to allow yourself to find a place, like a physical place where you feel more divine. And let me explain for our audience, because some of you are like, what the heck are you talking about? Have you been drinking? I have not been drinking. I'm actually fasting and drinking water today. Um, is especially if you're in the sales industry, lenders, title people, realtors, like our days are crazy. Our days are crazy, and like anxiety is real. Even if you don't have high functioning anxiety, if you're a normal person, there's probably going to be something within your day that's going to mess up your vibe, and you can be like, "Holy shit! Like, what am I going to do?" And what works for me, there is a couple of spots in my city, that make me feel like I feel divine presence in there, and I it's magical. I feel like maybe it's holy grounds, and one of the spots is Garden of the Gods. You and I had a chance to walk in there. It's a beautiful Red Rock Park. And another spot, it's actually my kids' school ground. Every time I go pick up my kids or I drop them off, I feel this abundance of love and emotions. Where even if like shit is falling apart behind the scenes, like universe is reminding me, okay, this is your time to feel the love and count your blessings. And I was like, wow, this space is so special. I feel so special. And then I move on with my day and I feel a little more grounded. So my advice to you guys, you all maybe have never thought of that, but you all have those special spots within your life. Maybe it's like a park where you take your kids. Maybe it's a park where you walk your dog. So when you feel like you need to realign yourself, like go out there and do a walk. If you don't meditate, just listen to some music, just change the vibe. And like that's how you change your frequency. And another thing that has actually worked for me, and like sometimes I'm thinking about decision, right? Or I'm like, universe and God, am I on the right track? Ask for signs. And universe will listen and they're going to provide you signs. And very often the signs are either like an animal, because remember, spirituality, universe communicates with an animals, or out of nowhere, like they're going to play one of your favorite tunes, favorite songs, or you'll see something like your favorite color and it's crazy. I know you guys are thinking this is crazy, but this is what I call divine timing, divine signs. Look, this is like real stuff. I cannot. So when you start tuning in, and you will feel like you're more guided. You will feel like you're more in tune with the universe or God or whatever you believe in, higher power. And it's just these little things that are reminders that maybe someday or in some situations going to help you get to the next level.
Mm, I love that because, of course, you and I are very aligned. And I believe that all we have to do, right, when we're facing a decision or need help is ask. I mean, so the Bible says, ask and it is given. So, you know, ask for what you want and then allow and ask for a sign. So I love that you shared that. That's beautiful. And the other thing that's interesting that I've been actually talking to my kids a lot about, because my son plays soccer and he's really big into it. So we've been talking about visualization and visualizing it here, mentally, emotionally first, and then seeing it physically done, right? And so there's such this, like, business in itself is a spiritual practice. That's really a lot of what this podcast is about too, is that everything that's created is created in a non-physical place first before it's created in a physical place. So that's why when they talk about visualization, we're like creating it in the mind first and then allowing it to come into practice, right? So it's like, how do we get into that space of the non-physical? How do we tap into all that is, all that's around us, wanting us to succeed, and ground into that, in that knowing that we are always supported and provided for when we ask and allow those things to come to us, right? So thank you for sharing your practice. I love that. I love that it's also just about the places that you already know. And some of those may even come to mind. So if you're listening in and you're saying, well, I don't know what that place is, that my grounding place, like Lana said, it doesn't have to be a spiritual place. It can be your kid's school, right? But what is a place where when you're there, you feel more alive, or you feel centered, or you feel peaceful, contented? And if you don't know, ask and start to pay attention to what those spaces are for you, because the universe will answer.
Yeah, I guess I was looking for a word in my head. Okay, the sense of gratitude. If you operate out of the sense of gratitude, you're on an ultimate vibration. So find a place or activity that puts you in that sense of gratitude. And yeah.
Love that. Well, I think that's a great place to end it. This has been a lovely, amazing conversation, which I knew it would be. And for anybody that wants to just know more about you, learn more about you, where should they go?
I would love to. I'm trying to grow my Instagram profile. So it's at the Lana Rodriguez. I think all the fake profiles are no longer there. So you should find me. And if you slide into DMs, I will reply. And of course, if you guys have any questions about anything, Kara is available. I'm available. And if there is something you guys want to deep dive into, like client appreciation system or how to host your client event, or anything as far as building solo line business, please reach out to Kara, reach out to me. We're open books. We're here to help you and see you guys win.
Awesome. Love, love, love that. We'll definitely link it in the show notes as well, so they find the real Lana Rodriguez. And thank you so much for being here. And I can't wait for our listeners to know you better.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much for having me.
Loved being here with you today and would love to connect with you more over on Instagram. My handle is linked to the show notes, or you can just type in @KaraChafin_Donofrio. And I have something special for you as a free gift, my Dynamic Life Journal. This special book has the power to really help you live a soul-inspired life. Go to freegiftfromkara.com. Easy to remember, freegiftfromkara.com. Until next time, beautiful people, sending all my love.